and then a
I wasn't trying to say like you should see the instructor like she's attractive. I was just saying that like she's talented. It's not even a she, it's a he. He's very talented.
He's talented.
Very flexible.
Flexible.
I think we'll have to cut out after that. When you got really upset about the flexibility, I think that's the out point. That's great.
Welcome to Good Mythical More.
Oh, man.
So we've got an origin story in real life
I'm not
for
really
a
taking
superhero.
Pilates, just so you know.
I'm
not actually taking
I'm glad because it's heartbreaking. But first, let me throw out a couple of hysterical strength tidbits that I didn't go through in the thing before we get to the superhero. 1999, Mother's Day. Jean Eberl and his partner, Mark Beverly, were climbing in New Mexico's Sandia Mountain Wilderness. A 500-pound rock fell on Eberl and pinned him down.
Eberl.
E-B-E-R-L-E.
Eberl.
Eberl. John Eberl. Let's call him John. 500-pound rock fell on John.
That's heavy.
And Mark was like freaking out.
You're freaking me out and it's making me freak out.
Mark watched as John lifted the rock off of himself and saved his life. No thanks to Mark.
He watched.
He watched as John lifted the 500-pound rock off of himself.
And watched.
But he was a witness, and that counts for something. 1982, Lawrenceville, Georgia. 50-something Angela Cavallo lifted a 1964 Chevrolet Impala, which, as we all know, has a curb weight of 4,000 pounds, 2 tons.
It's big. It's a big car.
Off of her son, Tony.
Oh.
It fell off of jacks that had held it up while he was working underneath the car. She held it up long enough for Tony to be pulled out from underneath the car and the jacks to be replaced. Like, well, I'm holding this thing. Get the jacks back onto there so we can keep working on it. Held it up that whole time.
That's amazing.
Never crawl under an Impala.
Well,
that was actually the Chevy ad campaign.
Let's talk about this one because this one is this one's actually harder to account for because when you lift up a car on a flat surface and somebody's able to get out from underneath it and then jacks are able to be installed, that means she was lifting. I mean, I don't remember how to do this equation. Statics, but
well, it became dynamics.
If I was in my statics class, I could figure it out. Like, what is the force of on the back bumper at that place when you're lifting a 4,000-pound car? I mean, it's a lot, whatever it is.
You got to look at what's that arm called? Like, there's like a. Remember what that was called in engineering?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't remember what it's called.
You know what I'm talking about though? Like the torque arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like the radius from the pivot point to where you're lifting.
Yeah, and that's how you.
It's a factor.
And that's how you figure out the force.
Date unknown.
But hold on a second. No, you're just glossing over it. I wish you had actually put that one back in the episode because that's actually in my mind. It's one thing to like push a helicopter in like a ditch off of somebody, but when you're like on a road or a driveway and you lift it, that means that woman ended up lifting a lot of weight.
Of poundage. Oh yeah, she used her legs, not her back, I'm sure. My question is, after the adrenaline rush, how sore was she? Or did she endure some sort of permanent damage? I think so, right? I mean, once the adrenaline subsides, I think there's like what you just put your body through. It residuates. Not a word.
It residuates.
Date unknown, High Island, Texas. Bootsy Payton's young granddaughter, Marie, wanted to go by Bootsy. Evie was knocked down by a riding lawnmower and pinned underneath the running machine.
Ooh.
Bootsy grabbed the mower and tossed it off her granddaughter like a rag doll. Evie lost 4 toes, but she lived. 10 minus 4 is what?
6.
That's how many toes she has now.
She has 6 toes.
When Bootsy tried to replicate this later, she could not budge the riding lawnmower.
I can't move it.
So they...
Got to throw under there again.
Did they throw her under there?
She's got 6 toes to give.
Did she lose more toes and then to see if she could do it again? Because, yeah, you have to replicate all emotional factors. And that, again, that's why it's not testable.
One of the things we talked about before we get into this incredible story is okay, if this is the case, then why don't cops and like firefighters and EMTs or whatever, why don't they carry adrenaline shots so that if they need to do a superhuman feat, they can just give themselves an injection and then they can do it. But it turns out that...
Yeah, like bicyclists, they like guzzle caffeinated like little energy things like that when they're like...
exact thing.
Before they go on their workouts or whatever. Their cycle outs.
But it turns out that adrenaline is just ephedrine. And ephedrine is what you have in an EpiPen when you're having an allergic reaction. So essentially, if you're suffering from a life-threatening allergic reaction, you give yourself an adrenaline shot, and it can, I don't know exactly, but the way it causes your body to react, it shuts down that allergic reaction. Probably because that allergic reaction is like not essential or something. I don't know.
Does anybody here have one?
An EpiPen?
We could try it.
But here's the problem, is that if you just give yourself
try it.
An EpiPen shot, this is my understanding, and I'm open to being corrected in the comments, but if you give yourself an EpiPen shot, it's rather dangerous. I mean, you can die just from that because adrenaline in the body is overwhelming and sends your body into a state of shock, essentially, and so it can kill you. So you can't just have a bunch of people going around saying, oh, I want to do something awesome right now, right into the jugular. It wouldn't be safe.
And plus, for firefighters, to use that example, they're already getting a shot of adrenaline just naturally.
True.
I think by going into some environment like that.
Right. Okay. In a 1990 interview, the late comic book artist Jack Kirby said he created what superhero after seeing a mom lift a car off a kid.
He watched a mom lift a car off a kid?
And this is in the Comic Journal in 2011. It's the Hulk, people. Hulk, the green guy. The Hulk, this is Jack from the interview. The Hulk I created when I saw a woman lift a car. It sounds like he's like a Yoda type character. The Hulk, I won't even do it. The Hulk I created when I saw a woman lift a car. It's not, I guess it is technically a sentence. Her baby was caught under the running board of this car. The little child was playing in the gutter, and he was crawling from the gutter onto the sidewalk under the running board of this car.
Ooh.
This car. Maybe he's like this car. He was playing in the gutter. His mother was horrified. She looked from the rear window of the car, and this woman in desperation lifted the rear end of the car. It suddenly came to me that in desperation, we can all do that. We can knock down walls. We can go berserk, which we do. You know what happens when you're in a rage? You can tear a house down. I created a character who did all that and called him the Hulk. I inserted him into lots of stories I was doing. Whatever the Hulk was at the beginning, I got from that incident. A character to me can't be contrived. I don't like to contrive characters. They have to have an element of truth. This woman proved to me that the ordinary person in desperate circumstances can transcend himself or herself and do things that he or she, I'm adding the she's, wouldn't ordinarily do. I've done it myself. I've bent steel.
Well, Jack, what?
Gah!
Jack be bending some steel? Really? And he also wasn't green. Because the woman wasn't green.
But the woman was green. I forgot to say that. And the woman was green, in case you were wondering.
The Hulk wasn't green at the beginning. He became green later. I think it was like a printing error or something.
Actually, yeah. The Hulk was supposed to be gray originally, and then there was a printing error and it was green. I will point out that Kirby's former assistant, Mark Evanier, doubts the story, saying Kirby never mentioned it privately.
Emphasis on former assistant. He's jilted, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't work for the steel bender anymore. He's like,
I know how I'll get him.
I'm gonna throw him under the bus and see who lifts it.
I'm gonna poke some holes into his Hulk story. You learn something every day. You learn something new every day, don't you?
Well, I'm gonna take a nap if that's the case, because I've just learned it.
Oh, good.